Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat here today to talk about Toonami's ratings from this past Saturday, March 23rd, 2024. Let's start at the top of the block. At the top of the block, we have Ninja Kamui at a point zero 0.09. Then we have the Demon Slayer Entertainment District Arc Finale at a point zero 0.08, Lycoris Recoil at a point zero 0.07, the One Piece 6, and Naruto Shippuden at a point zero 0.05. So really, this is kind of a same old type of week. Numbers didn't change that much from the last couple weeks. As you recall, the previous week we didn't have One Piece or Naruto Shippuden air because we had a Dragon Ball Z Kai marathon in the memory of Akira Toriyama. But the numbers for Ninja Kamui stay the same. Demon Slayer's numbers the same. And actually, Lycoris Recoil did go up a tiny bit to a one hundredth of a point to point zero 0.07, though the total viewership numbers have been really in the same range the whole time, the just below 150,000 total viewer range. And Ninja Kamui, ever since its second episode, has not cracked 200,000 total. And again, in this day and age with cable television, it's hard to get an exact gauge on what a good rating number is anymore, because this might be the ceiling. But at the same time, I can't help but to note that when Demon Slayer was leading off the block, every single over a point 0.10. So logic dictates it probably would have kept that number if it stayed in the front of the block, and the whole block might have been dragged down a little bit by having Ninja Kamui, which is of course an unestablished show because this is the first, maybe only season. I could see Jason DeMarco forcing Zaslav to make 10 seasons of this because really nothing else in terms of Toonami originals have really stuck to the wall. Or if they stuck to the wall, David Zaslav immediately decided to write it off for taxes. So, eh, again. Honestly, there's only outside of this, there's only been maybe one Toonami original anime I could think of that probably could have very well had a second season, and that was Shenmue. And that one, again, tax write off, so we're not getting season two. And there was plenty of obvious material because it's based on the IP of a game series, and there's still a lot to work with that. So apparently, I think Jason DeMarco is trying to push the creator of Phantom Pirate Princess to make a second season, but the creator said no, it's a finished story. And then Jason DeMarco tried arguing with him about it. And for those who watched Phantom Pirate Princess, it had a pretty conclusive ending. It ended in such a way that theoretically, if it was to continue, season two would almost be a carbon copy of season one. And what fun is in that? But again, back to Tanami's ratings. Lycris Recoil, I know I've been talking about this every week. One, because I like it, as you can tell how nearly every image I've used for my Toonami ratings since it started airing the block has been some type of image from that show, including this week, as you can see in front of you right now. But ratings, like I said, I personally thought this would be a breakout hit. It had everything going for it. Everyone seemed to like it. And it really was a show that ticked off a lot of the boxes on what does typically do well in Toonami. It has action, it has guns, it has high school aged kids, and at the same time, it didn't do too well. And my theory is probably the one thing that really separated it from other Toonami shows, the fact that in many episodes where we've passed those episodes, there is a wide swath of the show that really feels more like a slice of life show. I personally love slice of life shows, and I really liked how Lycris Recoil added some of those elements into the show. Stuff like that doesn't do well in Toonami. Doesn't do well with Toonami's audiences. Toonami's audiences historically have not really liked when a show has gone that far off from what typically is on Toonami. Like, for example, the classic example now of Pop Team Epic in 2018, show that was well loved generally by anime. It was one of the most talked about anime at that time. No one really watched it on Toonami. And it was part of that 7-hour challenge era where you really had a mishmash of like a bunch of ideas of what Toonami thought. Let's throw Pop Team Epic in there. That was also when Fully Cooley Alternative was making its debut. Then again, back up towards the back of the block, you have like classic long runners like, of course, Naruto Shippuden. You had Black Clover. You had Hunter x Hunter around that time too. You know, and I could probably go back and find one of my old videos. Like one of the JoJo's was airing. I think they were getting to the end of Diamonds Unbreakable, getting towards the start of oh dear, what was the name of the fourth one? Oh my god, why am I forgetting the name of the fourth one? It's the one between Stardust Crusade. It's Diamond is Unbreakable. Diamond is Unbreakable. Then Astartes Crusaders going into Diamond is Unbreakable before Golden Wind, which was part 5. I have no idea. I feel like such a silly for not thinking of that at the time. But again, back to Toonami's ratings this week. Not much change. Ninja Kamui doing what it normally does. Demon Slayer for its last week doing what it normally does, and Lycoris Recoil a little bit better. And then I guess you could also say One Piece and Naruto Shippuden had kind of pretty good weeks because they were starting to really fade before the week off. It was getting like .03s and stuff. So I guess the real winners of this week were Naruto Shippuden and One Piece. Next week's gonna be interesting because we have a new show coming to the block in the form of Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. It will be filling in the 12:30 slot for Demon Slayer, and it's a show on its premise that seems pretty interesting to me. It's it gives me vibes of, like I said, I've mentioned when I first covered this show, Zombieland. If you ever watched the movie series with Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Abigail Breslin, and also it kind of, from what little I've seen of it, kind of gives me vibes of Mob Psycho 100 in a way, the show whose season 2 will never air on Toonami. But I digress. What do you guys think? What are you excited for Zom 100? If I had to predict, I'm gonna say Zom 100 will get a .07 in the ratings next week. Just a vibe I get. What do you guys think? Leave your comments, leave your opinions down below. I am Super Orange Cat, and that is all.